Well, hello VC. Long time no see. Hope everyone's doing well out there. Pretty Green Vinyl guy here with a vinyl update. I've had a good month. I've been working a lot across Canada, and I happen to be in Toronto the last 2 weekends. So one of those trips, I was able to check out all the stores in the greater downtown Toronto area, and then last weekend when I was there, I saw that there was a record show in St. Catharines. So I had a free day on the Sunday, so I rented a car and drove up there, down there, over there, wherever, you know what I mean. And drove west. And yeah, had a good sort of 3-4 hours, I guess, at the show. Met some cool people, saw some new things. Really interesting that the merchandise, the records, the things that are popular maybe in Vancouver are different than in Ontario. So yeah, that was kind of cool. I've also been up in my jazz vinyl content, so I'm going to have to do 2 videos. I just got too big a pile. So I'm going to do new finds and new re-releases, and then I'll stop and do a jazz one. So cheers, let's get going. So, I've been working hard all year to fill in the gaps in my Bowie collection. And I finally got a nice pressing of Diamond Dogs. And this is on RCA. It's actually on blue vinyl, which is kind of cool. It might be a bootleg, I don't know. I couldn't find it anywhere. But it looks cool being on the blue vinyl. And like I say, it was one I was missing, a gap I definitely wanted to fill in. And I think it's a top 10 Bowie album for sure. I had it on CD back in the day when I was really into the back catalog of Bowie. Unfortunately, I discovered Bowie mostly through Let's Dance. And I was really into him at that point. And then of course that made me go backwards. And I think my dad had maybe Ziggy Stardust and the Splatters from Mars. Maybe he had an old copy of that. And but yeah, anyway, started with Let's Dance, but now I'm going back, and that's an awesome one. Same with these guys, The Who. One I didn't have that I think is a good one, Odds and Sods. Some of the Who albums are like this, right? But I think this is a good rock and roll sort of output from them. And this is MCA Records. This is a reissue, like an early 80s reissue, but in beautiful condition, mint condition. Yes, another Bowie that I was looking for. This is Station to Station. This is actually a 1976 German pressing on RCA. So that's kind of cool. I like when they're printed in West Germany. That's kind of cool. So yeah, that's Bowie Station to Station. I think I'm pretty much... I'll have to dig them all out now and go through them all. I had made a list. Those were the 2 that I really wanted that I didn't have, that I wanted to find in good original pressings. All right, this I think this isn't an original for sure. This is some repressing. Again, it's on white vinyl, but this is the Rolling Stones, Through the Past Darkly. It was super cheap. I thought, yeah, I've never owned this, and I always kind of was intrigued by the little gatefold. And yeah, this is like on 180 gram. I can feel it. On clear vinyl. Just a good one to chuck on a Saturday or Sunday, all the hits. It's all good. So then, okay, at this record show in Ontario, I hit this bin that this guy had under the table on the floor, and I started flipping through it, and I found some really cool stuff. And quite a bit in mono, for you mono people out there. This is the British guitar group The Shadows. This is their 1961 original mono release in those great covers. This is in pretty good shape. This is 1961, people. Look at that. That's actually in really good condition. And I didn't pay very much for this. And it's on the green Columbia. And it's in really good shape. Now, I know the Shadows are a limited market, but this is nice, and I was pretty happy with that. Something I've never really come across before, and was pretty happy to find it. And in the same bin, I found Wild Things, The Ventures, pardon me, also in mono, 1966. And this is on Dalton Records. There's some surface scratches on this one, but again, not bad at all. I don't think I've cleaned this one. I was cleaning records last night to get ready for filing them away after I make this video, so I still have a couple to go through, but yeah. And again, pretty good. This is a Canadian pressing on Dalton Records. Dalton. Great cover. And then I found the Beach Boys' Summer Days, also in mono, 1965, on Capitol Records. On the Rainbow. Again, pretty good condition. Not bad. And I was really, really pumped to get this one. And look at that cover. That's in good shape. Yeah, plays nicely. Very stoked about that. So that's in mono. So that's 3 in mono. And then I happened across, take this one out, Roy Orbison, Oh Pretty Woman, original mono release. This is on the London Purple label. This one does have a little bit, again, I haven't cleaned this one, has a little bit of something going on. It played pretty good. You can get through Candyman. I think Mama has a bit of something, and then by the time you get to Dream Baby Dream, it's all good again. So, yeah, pretty happy about that. In a little nicer condition might have been nice, but that's pretty good. So yeah, those are my 4 mono finds at the record fair, which I thought was pretty good. And I think I paid like $20 for all 4 of them, so that was good. These ones are a bit more, this one's a bit more generic. Got a nice copy of Neil Young Freedom to add to the Neil Young collection. That's in really nice shape. I got Deja Vu, Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young. Nice shape. I got an Aretha Franklin, 10 Years of Gold. Just a nice one to play. And then these two, you know, you're flipping and this old timer was all over my shoulder because you're all squeezed in, digging through. And I flipped past this record, the Doobie Brothers, which I'm not really a fan of the Doobie Brothers. And he's like, hey, kid, you gotta get that record. That's their best album. All right. So The Captain and Me, I've given it a quick listen. Yeah, I mean, he's right. The sound of the recording is very good. And it's got a China Groove and Natural Thing. What was the big song on here? Slow Train Running. So, yeah, it sounded pretty good. And then no longer had he talked me into that one. He's like, I'm flipping past this one. He's like, Chicago Transit Authority. That's the best album you got to get of theirs. So, yeah, I didn't even know. I did some history. I didn't realize that Chicago were called the Chicago Transit Authority for their first album. It's a double album, and again, the recording value is really good. I'm not a huge Chicago fan. Sorry to the Chicago fans out there, whether it's sports or music. But yeah, you know, I think I paid $5 for both of them. I talked the guy down. I said, I don't even want these. This guy's making me buy them. But yeah, you know, I played them, and I recognize some songs, and I got to agree with him that, yes, the recording value is really well done. What else have we got here? Another generic 24 karat Deep Purple. Just a good one to chuck on. And then I got a couple interesting ones. For the Canadian fans out there, how about an EP of the Bare Naked Ladies? This has Be My Yoko Ono, Brian Wilson, Blame It On Me, and If I Had $1 Million. I think this is really cool because Bare Naked Ladies stuff is hard to find. You cannot find vinyl Bare Naked Ladies, although they just did re-release Gordon. Another one I saw someone else, who was it, talked about this one, and I remember I had this on CD, and it's the first time I thought about it and got at the record fair. How about Dred Zeppelin? Huh? For those of you who don't know, this is an Elvis impersonator singing Zeppelin songs to a reggae beat almost. Excuse me. No edit today, so anyway, good fun record, Dred Zeppelin. And then I purchased one of my Grail picks, something that I've always wanted to have an original of, and that is the Tragically Hip Up to Here. I just did a video on the Tragically Hip. This was arguably their first album. They had an EP before this. This has their hit New Orleans is Sinking, 38 Years Old, Boots and Hearts, Blowing at High Dough. Great first album. This is an original pressing. These things are gold in Canada. You know, you can't find them. This is perfectly, it's like it's brand new. It's never been played. Very cool. And then another sort of Grail piece that I wanted. It's not an original. You can't afford the originals. This is a 70s reissue. But this is Pink Floyd. This is on, this is Piper at the Gates of Dawn, of course. And this is on the Purple Capitol. Really beautiful. Not a mark on it. Of course, I'm just going to throw it down here, so now it's going to get a mark on it. And the cover in great shape. This is a Canadian Capitol Records repress. Don't see the date on it, but I know it's sort of a 70s repress. So that's it for the vinyl finds, and then I've got a couple of new ones. The first two are two I'd love to have originals of, but again, you can't afford them. This is Little Games by the Yardbirds. This is when they had become Jimmy Page's band. He was the guitarist at this time. This is a 180 gram repressing. Sounds awesome. Great album. Fantastic. Psych rock. This is when they got into the psych rock. You can start to hear Zeppelin forming on some of this. And another one I'd like to have an original of. Again, can't find it for anything more than mortgaging your house. This is the Small Faces Ogden's Nut Gone Flake. This is on picture disc in mono. Sounds amazing. The mono of this is great because you can really hear every instrument. The drumming, Kenny Jones drumming on the title track is mind-blowing. Great album. If you've never heard this, this is a cult favorite. This is when the Small Faces went psychedelic, along with the Yardbirds and the Kinks and others at that time, The Who. Fantastic album. And then, what we were just talking about, the Bare Naked Ladies, the reissue of Gordon. This was one of my favorite albums of all times when I was young. Pardon me. The Bare Naked Ladies, if you don't know, a Canadian band, were famous for making a promo on cassette, and it sold 500,000 copies, which led them to get signed instantaneously to a label, and they put out Gordon, which went on to start their career and springboard them to success. I remember in 1986, the World's Fair, Expo 86, was in Vancouver, and the busker band playing on the streets of the Expo 86 fair was the Bare Naked Ladies. They were singing Be My Yoko Ono with acoustic guitars and ice cream pails and entertaining the people that were at the World's Fair. They were not even known at that time. And then they went on quite the roll. And yeah, really hard to find on vinyl. So they did the reissue. This is the gatefold. Ironically, they just played my hometown last week, but I was in Toronto. But I've seen them quite a few times before. I'm not a big fan anymore because I was a Stephen Page fan, and he is not in the band anymore. But, you know, they're still good. And, of course, classic album, Enid, Brian Wilson, Be My Yoko Ono, Wrap Your Arms Around Me, What a Good Boy, box set, Blame It On Me, If I Had $1 Million. This had tons of hits. Fantastic album. Super happy that this is being reissued. When my wife and I were dating, I had that CD. She actually banned it in the house. She banned the Bare Naked Ladies in our house when we were first going out. So I'm you know, after 21 years of marriage, I'm ready to start playing it loud again. There you go. And then last but not least, an album that I knew nothing about that my local record store guys recommended. And I've only listened to this once, but I do really like it. This is Car Seat Headrest. Teens of Denial. Teens of Denial. Yeah, very cool. Very Strokes kind of sounding. And like I said, I've only listened to it once. I thought it was awesome, and looking forward to playing it again. So that's a new find, someone I'd never heard of before. Awesome. We did it, guys. That's the end of my video. I'm gonna come right back and make a jazz one, and if you want to click the next video, do that. Send me some comments. If you're not a subscriber, please subscribe. I did just break the 100 subs, so I guess I got to do something about that. And yeah, it's been a blast. Thanks, guys. Have a great day. Cheers.